There was a book on the copious shelves in Hawaii, a little volume of pictures, and it was entitled The 1,000 Forms of the Goddess Kuan Yin. And of course, amongst those pictures were beautiful maidens with long flowing Chinese robes. But by far, the most pictures depicted gargoyles and demons and wraiths. The 1,000 faces of the goddess Kuan Yin. There's an old story to be told, but first there's a little strange tale that will set our mind moving in the right direction. And it's the story of a man, and at a very early age he began to bend, and a hump formed on his back, so that his body became, by adulthood, twisted with this huge hump protruding from the top of his spine. So the only work he could do was to go out and gather twigs and broken branches, dead residue that had dropped from the trees, and take them to the market to sell, to make enough money to keep his family in a subsistence. But then one day, when he was out gathering his twigs and bits of wood, the night fell, and he found himself unable to return to his home. So, with very great difficulty, he climbed a tree so as to avoid the wild animals that he thought would inhabit that place at night time. But as he was sitting up in his branch, he started to hear all this sound, yelling and drums beating and trumpets blaring, and then all of a sudden a great horde of demonic beings gathered around at the base of the tree, and they were cavorting and dancing and singing and swilling their liquor. Well, in the midst of their cavorting, one of the demons sniffed the air. "I can smell human!" And of course, they saw the man up in his tree. So they said, "You either come and dance with us, or we're going to eat you up." Well, down came the man with his hump, and he started to dance and cavort with the demons as then, and he got right into it. He forgot all about it, just completely got caught up in the cavorting that was going on. But of course, as the dawn was coming up, of course we know what has to happen. The demons have to go back to where they came from. But they said to the man, "You're the best human dancer we've ever found. Stay with us. We want you to stay with us." "Oh," said the man, "but I've got a family. I've got responsibilities. I have to go. But I'll come back again." So the demon said, "Well, you'll have to leave something here to ensure that you do. What will you leave?" All of a sudden, the man had a thought. "Oh," he said, "I can leave you my hump." And that's what he did. But of course he never went back to that forest again to get his hump back, did he? And that other old story was about that couple. And they fought like cats and dogs. In fact, the man was so abusive, his language was so colourfully terrible, that even the neighbours would complain about it. But his long-suffering wife would get right into the fray too, and they would shout back and forth and back and forth. But it so happened that one day they were having a very big argument as they were standing by a well. And because the tirade of the husband was so loud and so abusive, the wife had just had too much, so she pushed him, and he went tumbling into the well. Down and down he went, screaming abuse, shouting expletions all the way down, when all of a sudden, out of the well comes this huge, monstrous demon. And he said, "Who sent that abomination of a human being down to disturb my sleep of 1,000 years? Never since the days of King David and Solomon have I heard such a tirade." "Oh," said the wife, "you've only had to put up with him for 2 minutes. I've had to put up with him for 2 decades. The demons got very conciliatory after that. "Oh, I can understand that very well, very well." So they got into a little conversation, the woman and the demon. And she said, "Well, you know, I've got nowhere to go now. You know, I better go into town and see if I can find some means to make a living, because I haven't got a husband now." And the demon said, "Oh, well, I haven't got any house to go to now, because I'm not going back down in there again, am I?" So they started to walk off into town. And they were talking very amiably between them, found that they had common experience, blah, blah. And as they were coming into town, the demon said, "Oh, I have a thought. I can set you up for the rest of your life," he said. "I'll just go in to town and enter into the princess and make her mad. But I'll give you a magic word to say. And when you say that magic word, I'll leave the princess, and no doubt you'll get a very big reward for this. But there's only one thing. You're only allowed to use the magic word once." Oh, she promised that she would. So they got into town, and sure enough, off goes the demon, and the next thing there's town criers coming out to see someone to cure the princess, because she's frothing at the mouth and rolling all over the floor, and she's been bedeviled. So of course when the woman heard this, she started to cry out herself, "Demons released, demons released. Come to me, I'll take care of them." So of course off she was taken to the palace, and just as was said by the demon, she said the magic word, and out came the demon. And of course she was rewarded with bags and bags of gold, so she was able to go off and build herself a palace rivaling the king's palace himself. But then you know what demons are like. He's floating around and got bored, looking for mischief, nowhere to go. So he went off and entered the queen. So of course messenger was sent straight away to the woman to come and get rid of this bedevilment, otherwise her head would roll. So what could she do? She had to use the magic word again. But when the demon came out of the queen, he was so mad. "I told you you're only allowed to use, now I'm going to enter into you, and I'm going to bedevil you so much you'll forget the magic word." And she said, "Well, if you do that, I'll just go back to my husband, and we'll both be bedeviled for the rest of our lives." So the demon flew off into the distance, never to be seen again. So we were having a little discussion on on Tuesday at Jaya's about this. And it does bring up the same question for us. What is this magic word that we can use? But now there's a little complication in this, because we have this first story about dancing with the demons. So it's asked of you, when we put these two together, and we've confronted our demons in our life before, we might still have a few hanging around, one or two. What is it? What is this antidote, this word? Putting it all together, the 1,000 faces of Kuan Yin, from the angelic to the demons and the devils, the dancing with the demons, and in so doing divesting ourselves of our burden. And the magic word given by the demon himself. What could it all mean for us in this place where we're at now? So it would be good to have us voice or express what phrase, what mantra, what word we use when the demon of our mind wants us to dance and so forth. But more importantly, the question that can be asked is, what is the purpose of it? When we recognize that these demons, not only are they angels in disguise, so to speak, but they're the instruments of our liberation. Instruments of our liberation, as all figments of the mind are instruments of liberation. What is your magic word or phrase? Have you found it? Are you still dancing with the demons?
There's a mantra that goes Salam Natal Brahma. Everything is an expression of the divine.
Of the divine.
Sometimes when we're dancing with the demons, we can forget that word.
We do. We absolutely do. And then we immediately become combative. We're in that arena and we become that warrior. Yes. Yes.
Yes. To remember it.
Yes. Yes. Does it obviate the need for that magic phrase then? If we see the demons as no longer demons but instruments of the divine?
Thank you.
see the demons as being our dark side, which needs to be embraced
All right.
and explored.
Okay.
Part of the journey.
To dance with them
Yeah.
is to say just exactly that, isn't it?
Yeah.
But what about when they do beset us? Because we know that there is a danger, just as this demon said, I'll enter into you and I'll make you forget that magic word.
I think then we always have that inner sanctum to connect.
Inner sanctum.
Take the power away from the demon.
Yeah. So what's the key then? What's the key to that inner sanctum?
Love.
All right. Okay. Key to all doors.
And also she uses same medicine.
Uh-huh.
She's telling him, if you enter me, I go back.
That's right. All right. That's
I
right.
think that inner sanctum always knows what to do anyway.
Anyway, yes.
It brings out exactly what's appropriate at the time.
At the time, indeed. Yes. Yes.
That may mean telling to go away, or it may mean something else.
All right. So, again, not unwittingly, we've come back again to our purpose, and that is to explore the nature of emptiness. So it goes on. So it goes on. What does that really mean? What is the ultimate power? That's what we need to find out. Because in the end, if our mind is bedeviled, all right, we have an inner sanctum. We know at a level that that's going to prevail, whatever that is and whatever it contains. But when our mind is completely clouded and completely absorbed in the dance with the demons, we've forgotten how to find our way there. Isn't it so? We see many, many people in that situation. Many, many people in that situation. So our exploration and our purpose at this time is to understand, embrace, and be embraced by the nature of emptiness. Thank you. Thank you.